Before we bring you the next witness, I want to take this opportunity to welcome my guest for this hour, trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, always great to have you. Let's talk about this testimony because, again, I'm assuming the state is trying to say and establish time of death and that she actually has disappeared and was murdered. So they're showing surveillance videos from neighbors, and this sergeant just said he watched 48 hours of it, but then he did narrow it down and say the other vehicles were identified as neighbors and really not relevant or important. It's her Suburban that we looked at.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is what surveillance looks like in modern day crime evidence, right? You have surveillance. 30 years ago, you never had this type of surveillance, right? You couldn't have seen this type of evidence. If this woman would have disappeared and her luxury home builder husband said, yeah, I had nothing to do with it, this would not be available. But right now, like this surveillance is showing a pattern because they do have to establish that she died. Because, I mean, theoretically speaking, if she could be alive, right? I mean, doesn't seem likely, but they have to show that she died. If they can't show that she died, it was some sort of circumstantial evidence, then a big part of the prosecution's case doesn't exist.
Right, I agree with you. And the other thing I must ask you is, not only is there no body, that's not uncommon in murder cases anymore, but also the husband who had been arrested for the murder of Dulos, well, he took his own life, and so he's not available as a witness. How much does that hurt the case for the prosecution? Or does it?
I think it helps the case. The only way that they could have put this woman, the only way they're going to convict this woman, the only way that his not committing suicide would have helped them in convicting this woman would be if he pointed a finger at her and said, she did it with me, right? If he was alive and he did it, right? But him taking his own life, if I was her defense attorney, I think this would be not an easy defense, but this is, the fact that he took his life shows me that, hey, you know, I've got a lot of defense here. I've got a lot of wiggle room here. This man was married to the woman that died, that we think died. He was married to her. My client, the defendant here, had nothing to do with that. She wasn't doing anything illegal. She was having a relationship. He was having an affair, an extramarital affair. My client wasn't. She was having a relationship, right? And so he took his own life because of his guilty conscience. And he left no trail to show that my client did it, right? If I was a defense attorney. So I think, to answer your question, Judge Ashley, him taking his own life, in my opinion, helps this defense.
I like your argument because I agree with you. You'd say he did it, obviously. He took his own life. And there's no evidence to support that I was involved in this at all. We're going to have to first see, though, if the state meets its burden. And to that end, the next witness the state calls. All right, so this is a silent video. We're not going to hear any audio. Michael Jaafar still with us. Thank you for that, Michael. So we are watching. It's 4:21 a.m. on the 24th of May. Now they're going to show the video. Smart. It starts off by showing the mailbox. Why? Because that shows the crime scene address, the 69 Wells Way. Now it's at the driveway. What are you looking for as you watch something like this?
I'm looking for any evidence that shows it's a big deal that she was not found, but it looks to me, Judge Ashley, that the circumstantial evidence is very, very, very against the person who took his life. He would have been, in my opinion, he would have been convicted. So what we're looking for in this video, in my opinion, if I was a juror, I'm looking to see the beginning of the tale that shows me how this person was covering his tracks. This is at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking to see, is anything that lends me in the direction of she's dead. I know they declared her dead last year, but I'm looking for anything that would kind of take out any doubt I have that this man murdered his wife, right? I'm looking for anything that would take away the doubt. So I'm mesmerized by the video myself, just looking at it right there. It's a really big house.
Me too. And I want a beautiful home. I want to comment on that, Michael, because that right there is the back of a black Range Rover with New York plates. And what's the importance of that? Well, we understand that she was supposed to drive it to New York because it was a smaller vehicle than the Suburban, and that's the car she was supposed to be in. Well, it's in the garage. We know there's other video of her driving the Suburban, so that's an interesting point. Why do you think this was done at 4:21 a.m.? I'm going to assume because, you know, they follow the evidence when it presents itself. It's not they get to investigate during 9 to 5 hours. Is it simply logistics? They found out about it, need to go to the home and film it, and this was the hour of night, or is this strategic?
I think it's strategic, like you said. I think this is when the evidence came to them, and they were doing their job, and what a marvelous job they did. They chased this person down. She disappeared in 2019, and they chased him down. But bringing it back to the defendant standing trial right now, I'm looking at this video, and I'm thinking to myself, this man was wealthy. He had 5 children. He took his own life when he was out on bail. He had the money, the wherewithal to come up with a bail. I don't see how they're tying my client. I'm just not seeing it. I mean, theoretically, any of his friends are a part of the cover-up because everybody found out that she disappeared. You can't be in a relationship with this person and not know that his wife disappeared. And this woman, he lived with the defendant. So, I mean, all of this is lending in my favor if I'm defending them.
And so far, we haven't seen the defendant, if it were your client, on any of the videos doing anything. So they're laying the foundation. Michael Jaafar, we're out of time. Thank you for joining us. Michael Ayala's up next with more from the Troconis trial. Stay tuned. Court TV, your front row seat to justice.